for this.
And we're back.
What's up?
What's up? I don't know if you've noticed, but what is this thing called? Restream seems to be taking away more and more of our pre-coded stuff. Like I don't see any countdowns anymore. Have you looked through the design stuff?
I have not.
Because we used to have a little countdown that'll help us know. Okay,
Yeah,
we're about to start. The
yeah.
countdowns are all
Disappear.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were part of Restream though, so maybe they're in another box. I don't know. It's weird.
Ooh. Sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, clearly.
Um,
They're
yeah,
still popping fireworks at your around your neighborhood.
fireworks or guns?
Yeah, because I'm
That's,
hearing fireworks. I'm hoping it's fireworks. I don't know.
I put it like this: around this time of the year, it's we play that game. Is it guns or is it fireworks? And
Sure.
sometimes it's fireworks, sometimes it's guns.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I right now it's something that's going to be going on for at least another week, and next year is SC 250. So go ahead and just prepare for it to be a week long celebration.
Can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. What's going on, man?
Not much. So I was hoping Kay was here because I was going to do a preamble before we got to our topic of all the books that I bought recently because
Hmm.
I told you I went to that book sale and I got some books and then I went to Heroes Con. I had to get the dad face. They're not asleep yet. They're having brother sleepover and they're peeking out around the corner. Um,
Sure.
anyway, so I went to Heroes Con
Hmm.
last month, and I had a good time. I almost didn't go because just work. I like normally we cover Heroes Con, Soda City Con, SC Comic Con, and I just
Oh man, it's the fourth. Happy Fourth of July, America, man, Independence.
I'm looking at somebody who's supposed to be refereeing them,
Oh,
and hey,
brothers loving brothers, man. It's fine.
yeah, but they're playing games. You want them to come say hi? That's a bad idea. Come here. Come here. All right. So if you remember when we first started the stream, we started it on his when he was born. So this is Owen. Say hi. That's Owen, and that's Evan. Yep.
Fantastic. I
So
love it.
they're doing a brother sleepover.
Uh huh.
Say hi, Evan. Say hi. No, don't get comfortable. You're not staying. Yeah, he turned around like he was staying. Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Say hi. All right. Everybody say hi.
Hi.
All right. Everybody say
Hi.
good night.
Good night.
All right. All right. Go ahead. Uh, so yeah. So as I was saying, work and thing one and thing two has been stressful. Taking
Hmm.
care of them and keeping them alive and feeding them every day because you have to do that
Yeah.
legally required to. Um, I normally am so excited for these cons, and I was not this year. Like I didn't go to SC Comic Con, and Vincent D'Onofrio was there,
Hmm.
Giancarlo Esposito, um, Ashley Eccleston. Is it Eccleston or Eckstein?
I'm
He
not
goes
sure.
to Ahsoka and creator of her universe. Anyway, there's a lot of people, and I didn't have the energy, but I did go to Heroes Con in Charlotte. I only
Eckstein.
Eckstein, thank you. I went
Hmm.
there this year, and I actually enjoyed it. It did take a lot out of me to go, but I will admit I had fun going. I didn't buy a lot, but I wanted to go over what I did get real quick. Um, so I picked up this book called Timid. Um, it is a book about a young black kid who moves from Florida to Massachusetts, and he's trying to figure out how to fit in. He likes comics, but he's worried about exposing himself and his art to new people. So that was it's a scholastic book. I picked up Dear Dad, about a book about a young girl and her pen pal, the letters to her dad, who is incarcerated and he gets out, and their relationship. Another scholastic book. This is actually from the Kaepernick publisher, Colin Kaepernick. So I picked it up, and just in case something happens, my kids might need this, because that's the kind of dad I am.
Uh-huh.
Um, I also picked up. So I have this in soft cover, but I had to get it in hardcover because it was dirt cheap. This is called Big Jim and the White Boy. It's a retelling of Huck Finn from Big Jim's perspective. It is a. I got this for $10 and I couldn't pass it up. The
Okay.
book retails for 35 hardcover. I have the soft cover. This is one of my favorite books. I'm in a book club, and we read this book. I teared up reading it. This was a very good book. And the book club is thinking about doing this one from Ezra Clayton Daniels. I picked this up for $5. Um, I don't know much about it, but I was told this is a very good book and challenges your perceptions. So I picked these four books up. So that's what I did on one of the Saturdays that we did not tape or shoot anything.
Okay.
So yeah,
Cool.
so yeah.
Um,
Oh, upgrade,
I am
upgrade. That's the name of the book. Sorry, I didn't say it.
okay.
Upgrade Soul.
Oh, I just saw there is a Edge Runners 2 trailer announcement. That's cool.
Yep, a teaser. It's only a
That's
minute.
okay.
Yep.
That's cool. Um, yeah, man, it's been a minute. We've been putting up videos. We have a video that needs to go up. I just hadn't made a thumbnail for it. We reviewed Ironheart. That will go up probably tonight or tomorrow. I don't know, sometime like
Okay.
that. But that video will go up. So this was a topic. I don't know if you're a prognosticator or if you're a fortune teller, a soothsayer, something.
Nobody
You
listens to
were well. I mean, there's for good reason. A lot of times, a lot of the stuff you say is not stuff that needs to be listened to. You just kind of shout into the ether, saying whatever. This time you didn't.
sometimes, sometimes the things that I say are for shock value.
Fortune teller. Hmm.
What was that? Are you recording? I was right. Thank you. I need that verification. Um,
No, I'm watching our channel on another stream on YouTube to see that it's working and everything.
so yeah, go ahead.
Oh, interesting. I was looking at a comment from Ken. Okay,
Yeah, I
it came
see.
in now. Okay.
Yeah. Um,
Um. Yeah. I
but go
mean,
ahead.
no, no. I gave you your props. So what are we talking about?
No, you go ahead. Um,
I mean, there's nothing to say. This is your topic. Xbox is
no, this is not my
the biggest.
topic. I had another topic in mind, but you were like, "Let's do this one," and I was like, I'm all for it," because I did not realize the scope of how bad this was until as more things came out. So when you first so let's start from the beginning. On July 2nd, a report came out that Microsoft was laying off about 4% of its workforce. And within that 4% of its workforce, Xbox and their game studios have been hit very hard. Now,
Hmm.
this comes after the May layoffs that Xbox had and Microsoft had. So, in the 20, somebody has totaled it. In the last 24 months, Xbox has laid off, or Microsoft has laid off over 15,000 people.
Mm.
And when you texted me, uh, excuse me, I apologize. When you texted me, I did not know what wild shit I have said that was true at
Oh,
first.
okay.
I did not, because I'd only read the AP article
Hmm.
and I did not realize the scope. The title of the last book was Upgrade Soul, and I will put them all in the chat. But sorry. Um, so when you texted me, I did not realize the scope of the divisions, the studios, and what it meant going forward for gaming. How
Hmm.
bad this was. And over the last couple of days since the second, I have been every day I find out something new that
Hmm.
blows my mind.
Yeah. Uh, so their studio. Let's see. What was the initiative? The one that was making Perfect Dark. The studio
Yep.
that was dubbed the first unofficial quad A, because mostly games are called,
Yep.
AAA studios. They were going to be a quad A studio. They were making Perfect Dark. That ran into troubles. They had to get help finishing the game or starting the game, apparently, from Crystal Dynamics. But the initiative has been completely shut down. Perfect Dark reboot is gone. So that video that we saw from last year is no more, or at least that game's not coming out. And also a game from Rare, Everwild, which we didn't know what that was, but I was curious about what it was because it's Rare, and
We
it looked cool, but there was no real gameplay trailer yet on what the game was going to be.
so so the the initiative, the reason why Perfect Dark was called a quad A game or a quadruple A game was because in LinkedIn when they were hiring for the studio, that was the description they put for the job postings. So that's where that phrase came from. This was a quadruple A game. They were touting it in the hiring. They were touting this game as a quad A game.
Hmm.
Um, Everwild had we didn't. You're right. We did not see gameplay, but we knew that the game was more of a journey type game or Grease, kind of those like one of those styles. It wasn't an aggressive game. It was more about, if I recall, healing the land and dealing with like working within the environment. Um, I I was shocked by those.
Hmm.
I was more shocked by the things that came out afterwards. So continue.
What came out afterwards that shocked you? Because I don't know where you're going. Because for
Turn
me,
10.
another thing that yeah, so Turn 10 is not closed, right? But they cut a lot of the staff
They cut
from it. Is that
50% of the staff.
yeah?
So they essentially killed Forza Motorsports. Forza Horizon is still being made, but
Hmm.
essentially Forza Motorsports is canceled.
Or at least scaled back.
No, that's one of the devs came out and said it, essentially they have killed Forza because basically one of the devs was saying we can't make Forza with the staff that we have left, and there's speculation that they are moving towards a support staff, a support studio for other games.
Mm-hmm. A bunch of well-known game developers that had been in the space forever has
Mhm.
said, "Hey, I'm done. I've been in here 18, 20 years. I had a good run." I imagine that is Microsoft saying, "Hey, you guys can kind of either be let go or come up with an excuse to let yourself be gone," type of thing.
Um, no one knows exactly. So when you talk about who is gone, here's one of the people from Rare. Um, Greg Mays will leave the company. Mays was one of the original um, people from Rare. He has been at Rare for 35 years. He cut his teeth on Banjo Kazooie, uh, Sea of Thieves. He was a Sea of Thieves director, and that you and I have both worked at a company, and you have worked at a station. You have you still work for that company, but we no longer work at that place. And we have talked about when you lose certain people in leadership, you lose a brain drain, but you also lose institutional knowledge,
Hmm.
how things work, how things used to work, and why things work the way that they do. And to me, when you see someone of that caliber gone, and he is not the only one. There's reporting of other um, producers and directors and devs who have been with these companies for years leaving. That to me scares me more so than anything, because what that tells me is, like you said, either they were forced out, they left, or they left based on the changes that were happening that they just could not abide by. And
Hmm.
that means you're bringing in someone who does not have, who is going to shepherd a ship, who has no idea how the ship is run, who has less resources, and doesn't have the institutional knowledge or leadership that is necessary, or that was necessary for this particular company or team or studio. And that's what's scary to me, because we've seen what happens when you lose those people based on our last place of employment, how that place now functions.
Hmm.
And that, I think about that from a game developer standpoint, and that is what I realize is the one of the worst things.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because this reminds me of the Nintendo Switch 2 conversation we had when the price was first announced for both the console and the games.
Hmm.
That Nintendo was kind of the precursor or the one to set everything off. Like, oh my goodness, their console's so expensive.
Yeah.
The Mario Kart World was $80. Again, they won't be the only company to make $80 games. They were just the first one to announce it. We're going to see more in that happening. The same way I think Microsoft and Xbox aren't going to be the only game company to lay people off. They were just the most recent one with the largest amount of people. I think we're going to continue to see job loss in the game industry just because we still haven't figured out how to make these AAA games sustainable on a long term basis. So I think other game studios are going to announce stuff. It's just Microsoft is the most recent and the largest amount of numbers in such a long time.
So I'm going to go a step further, and I'm going to reference um, a article which I think, I understand where you're going, but I think the problem is worse than what we initially think it is, and it's something that we've talked about before. And I'm going to reference two things. One, the article, and I'm going to put it in the comments. It's from Polygon, from Oli Welsh.
Oh, I
Was
read
written.
this one. Yeah, this was good. I meant to send that to you. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So here, and I'll put this in the chat. So here's the two things that are laid out. One, we'll go back and I'll give people time to click on the article and kind of peruse and read it for themselves. But the reason why I was against the reason why I was against Microsoft going and buying up all of the, I didn't have a problem with them buying some of the studios, because I did feel like they needed studios in-house first party titles to bolster their lineup to compete with Nintendo and PlayStation. And
Hmm.
that was the argument. The problem that I had with Microsoft owning these studios is that when all of the studios are consolidated by one company, those studios are not able to do what they need to do to make games, because you're now part of an umbrella that's priority is not game development and game design. The priority is Microsoft being a world leader in software and electronics, but also beholden to their shareholders. What that means is they're going to do everything they can to keep the stock price and their shareholders happy. And whatever that means, what that means is they're going to do whatever it takes to keep that stock price high, to keep profits high.
Hmm.
And that to me was a bad deal, because once Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, there was going to be layoffs because there was redundancy. You were buying a huge, you were spending $69 billion. There was going to be redundancy when you bought that company, from HR, from managers to facilities, all of these different people that you had. They're going to be losing their jobs because you already have all these people. So
Hmm.
why do I need to keep these people? So you have that. You also have people who were championing this because they were like, just let it happen. And I remember, and there are names, I remember names, and I'm not going to say them because I know Michael does not like that. Um, but there was one person in particular, two people, there were a couple of people at IGN in particular who were just like, they were poo pooing the FTC's case, and they were not looking at the fact of this is bad business for Microsoft to buy up all of these companies for Xbox to have, because that meant Xbox no longer was allowed to play in the sandbox and do whatever they wanted to do. What happened was Xbox made these moves and now they have to justify buying this company, which then made Microsoft take a look at them when probably Microsoft was paying attention, but they weren't paying attention as much when you spent $69 billion.
Right.
Now let's get to the article. The article is called Microsoft has never been good at running game studios, which is a problem when it owns all of them. What that means is Microsoft has had a piss poor job of managing AAA studios, indie developers. So what happens when they own some of the biggest games?
Hmm.
They're going to F that up. And that's essentially what happened. And that's the crux of this article. And this is what we have now. We now have Microsoft laying off 4% of its workforce, which does affect Xbox, which now Xbox, and I said this and I texted you, and I'm not going out on a limb, there's going to be leadership changes. You do not make these decisions and lay off 4% of your workforce and have Xbox making the decisions they make without some type of change in leadership. Now, I don't know if Phil Smith,
So
go ahead.
let's talk about the big three names we always talk about. I know there's more, but the three we always talk about:
Matt
Matt
Booty,
Booty, who
Sarah
is the
Bond.
head of hold on, Matt Booty, who
Okay.
is the head of Xbox Game Studios.
Hmm.
Sarah Bond, who is what is her official title? Let's see. Sarah Bond,
Hmm.
who is the current president of Xbox at Microsoft.
Yep.
And then Phil Spencer, some new title, I don't know, something over Xbox, whatever, above
Hmm.
Matt Booty and Sarah Bond. Those
Yes.
are the big three names and the faces we usually see with Microsoft or
Yep.
with Xbox. I'm a big Phil stan. I'm always supporting Phil Spencer. I think he
A
does a
lot of
lot
you
for
are.
gamers.
A lot of you are.
Um, and I do think he does want to see more games in more places. But is he not the person to run this? I don't know. I don't know.
Here's the
Um,
thing. Go ahead.
who's the guy that is over Microsoft? Satya Nadella. What's his name?
Yeah, Satya, the Microsoft CEO.
Yes,
Yes,
the guy
it's
over Phil Spencer. Like, is
yes.
he ringing heads? Like, we spent $69 billion. We haven't seen any investment. All we've seen is
S-
one Call of Duty game. Where's our
Satya Nadella.
where's our
Now,
return on investment?
now, to be fair, they've seen two. One of them was already in development and was going to be released whether or not Xbox bought Call of Activision Blizzard or not. So
Hmm.
the two games have been released since Microsoft has bought Activision Blizzard. But with that being said, Microsoft is spending a lot of money on AI.
Hmm.
There's an arms race to spend money on um, artificial intelligence, whether it's Chat GPT, whether it's OpenAI, whether it's Sam Whitman's, not Sam Whitman. Well, is it Sam Altman? Sam Altman. Whether you
Hmm.
have Zuckerberg is invested in AI, um, Elon Musk. Um, you have a ton of people invested in AI. Microsoft being one of them.
Yeah.
I have always said when Microsoft allowed Xbox to buy Activision Blizzard, this was going to put Xbox in the prime time you need to justify your existence. And we have
Hmm.
slowly started to see the changes. And one of the changes we have talked about, and other people who are smarter than us with a larger following, who are more plugged in, have said hardware is going away.
Hmm.
And I think we have started to see the groundwork for that with the ROG Ally handhelds. They said that they are still making one more, that we know that there's one more confirmed Xbox coming out hardware. But the new slogan is Xbox is everywhere. Your TV's
Mhm.
an Xbox, your laptop's an Xbox, your tablet's an Xbox, your phone's an Xbox. We have heard that mantra um, repeatedly. It has been pushed at the Game Awards, the Summer Games Fest. That I think is the canary in the coal mine that's letting us know Microsoft may be getting out of the hardware business and maybe may just become a publisher and developer, and maybe they just fall back and allow themselves to be the Netflix of gaming.
Yeah, I
And
mean, it has worked out for Sega. Everybody lost their mind at first when Sega was like, "Oh yeah, we're not doing consoles anymore." But Sega's profitable. They have some of the biggest JRPGs out there in the Persona series. Not Atlas, I think, but it's published by Sega, I believe. Chat, let me know if I'm wrong about that. But I mean, Yakuza for sure is Sega. Um, Sonic remains popular, despite me trying to tell everybody that Sonic sucks. Sonic remains popular.
hey man,
But I
those
mean,
movies are good. I don't care what y'all say. I watched all
oh, I,
three of
I
them
enjoy
now.
the movies. The movies are fun.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the
the
games. I
movies are
think he
good.
said, yeah, but whatever. Um,
That's because you're a hater.
that's fine. But Sonic and other pop entities within Sega are doing well. They got so many
Mhm.
franchises they're trying to restart, like Crazy Taxi, Shinobi, all that stuff. So I mean, you definitely can be in the game space and just be a publisher, a software developer for sure. It's just it seems like, and again, I'll continue to be an apologist. Granted, there needs to be answers for the big three at Microsoft right are at Xbox right now, but uh, Phil is always when he says stuff, you kind of wonder if he truly believes what he says, but then Satya Nadella is like, "Hey, bro, we're not doing what you said, and maybe you should talk to me first."
Expound upon that because I have a different take. Expound
I
on
feel
what you
like
mean.
I feel like Phil definitely wants to be a gamer centric company in Xbox. He wants to focus on gamers. He really wants to do that. But sometimes I think that comes at odds with what you were talking about of them being, despite what Phil wants for Xbox, like you said, Microsoft is about serving its shareholders first. So if it's a decision on will this be better for gamers or better for shareholders, even if Phil wants to go with what's best for the gamers, Satya is going to be like, no, we're doing what's best for shareholders to keep that part to keep that stock price up.
Yeah. Um. So
You
let
play say Sonic the Hedgehog games like that.
so what
I see you and Ken talking about how much I
I did.
hating on Sonic. You don't play
I did.
Sonic like that.
I don't play it anymore, but I just don't play platformers like that anymore. But when I did, I was playing Sonic. I definitely played Sonic more than I played Mario, and I liked Mario. Mario Super Mario 3 is my favorite Mario of all time. But I always played Sonic, and I like Sonic more than Mario only because I just enjoyed the rings, the level design. I just like Sonic more. Um, and yes, you hate to see us see us. You hate to see us happy. So
Okay.
let's before we dive down in some of the 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 whys, the hows. Let's go through. So we talked about the initiative. We're not going to get a perfect dark. We talked about Everwild canceled. We
Hmm.
also talked. So also we found out about Turn 10. Uh, Horizon Motorsports is effectively essentially with the cut in staff. 50% of their staff, their studio, gone.
Hmm.
Speculation is they've basically just canceled Horizon Motorsports. Horizon Forza Horizon is still a thing, but the motorsports game is gone. Um, some of the other studios that have taken hits is Raven Software, who is a one of the Call of Duty developers, which is actually working on Call of Duty 6 right now, took hits. Um, we talked about Rare, one of the in-house studios taking hits. We also have to talk about John Romero's studio, which was being funded by Microsoft.
Hmm.
Romero Games has announced that its next unannounced project has lost its funding with the now ex Romero Games employees claiming it was due to this week's Microsoft cuts. And basically we have heard, and this is being reported by VGC, that Romero is pretty much gone because they're essentially looking for a new publisher for their games, but Microsoft was footing the bill and was going to publish their game. And with these cuts, they've basically killed Romero Games. Um, the ZeniMax space MMO Black codename Blackbird gone. Now that game from Jason Schreier, and Jason Schreier has done an article at Forbes, and I wish I could find it, and I'm looking for it.
Forbes or Bloomberg?
Oh, Bloomberg, you're right. Thank you. Um, uh, I'm looking for it right now. Ah, here we go. Microsoft Xbox cancels Blackbird. Um, I hate you, Bloomberg, because I did not want to accept that. Excuse me. So here's the title from the Bloomberg article. Xbox executives were blown away by an upcoming game. Then they canceled it. So, according to Jason Schreier and his article, and I'm putting it in the chat, Phil Spencer was playing this game and had to be physically pulled off a controller to finish the meeting.
Hmm.
And the game was being upscaled. It was a brand new game, brand new engine. They canceled it. This is a game that Phil Spencer was really excited about. The executives were excited about, and the word came to cancel that game. Um, what this means to me and what this says to me is the thing that I worried about the entire time. These decisions are no longer coming from Xbox. Xbox is no longer in control of their own future.
Sure,
Microsoft is.
sure.
To me, all of these changes is that Microsoft has now said you spent $69 billion. It is time to produce.
Hmm.
And it's time for all of these things, these different pots that you have on the stove, get rid of them. We need to scale down. We need this money to go into other areas. And this is another thing that I think, and this was reported by Young Ye, a YouTuber who was I was watching earlier today, and he basically crystallized a lot of these and summed this stuff up. So, do you remember earlier this year when Tango Games, Alpha Dog, and all of these studios were shuttered?
Hmm.
Part of that reason why that was done was a lot of those resources that they took and the oversight that they were given to them to make these games was put on Blackbird.
Hmm.
So, what he Young Ye was saying that Jason Schreier was reporting is that those four studios were shuttered. And Arcane Austin was the other one. They were all shuttered, and that money and those resources that were given to those studios were shuttered was because they were going to put all of that into Blackbird. Well, less than a year later, what has happened? You have canceled Blackbird. So essentially, all of these people who lost their jobs, all of these resources, these people's games that you will no longer, this art that you will never see, are now. Hi. Yes. Were you listening? Were you put your hey put your listening ears on? All right. Go potty, and go listen to mommy.
That's
So
great.
yeah, um, this is why we
Keep
have
keep your
three.
train of thought, but I just want to say,
Uh,
uh, Kay was asking. There's a crown icon in the chat. Kay, I'm not. I don't know what's going on with the crown icon in the chat. I don't know. Katie, what's up?
Michael said, "What's up?" I shouldn't allow her to drink and parent.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Because as you can see, one of them just walked out talking about mom turned the light off, and the other one walked out with the backwards hat on and the clothes that she had on earlier with the truly in her hand.
Fantastic.
Say what? Uh, so yeah. Um, so yeah. I have to look for this crown. Um,
Oh, Zayla Maru says, I think it gives points based on the amount of comments.
oh, cool. Yeah,
Oh,
y'all keep that up. Keep that up. So no, I go back to say, not to lose my train of thought. I go back to say this is this is what I was going back to originally saying. You cannot have one company in charge of all these game studios because, as people in the chat have pointed out, whether it be bean counters from King from Chicago said, or whether it's executives, I'm quite sure other people have pointed this out in all the conversations we've had. When one company owns all of this, you're beholden to whatever the whims of that company is. And if you are not the focus, which clearly Xbox is not the focus,
right.
you are going to suffer the consequences of that. And what is going on right now with these studios and Microsoft allowing Xbox to gobble up all of these developers and all of these studios reminds me of Embracer Group. When
Sure.
Embracer Group was on that run and bought up all of those studios, and
Hmm.
then they did not get the funding that they were looking for, and
Hmm.
they were done, finished. And all of that IP is languishing, and no one is able to do anything with it. Now,
Yeah.
luckily, um, the South Korean publisher, I'm trying to remember what the name is, was able to get Tango GameWorks. But what kills me is Tango GameWorks, Turn 10. They were not making bad games. It wasn't a situation where like Arcane made Redfall and was like, okay, you're no, we, like you messed up. They were
Yeah.
making credible, good games. And this is another thing that is being reported where there's some back and forth between people. There's talk and rumors, and now Perfect Dark wasn't even real. That the trailer that we saw last year,
That's
it,
been
now it's there's people saying no, that that was a real trailer. It wasn't vaporware, but there is some reporting that's saying that that trailer was polished to make it seem, and they said it's in engine. And the reporting and some of the reports on Twitter are saying if you play it just like it's on screen, you'll get those results. And it's like, well, wait a minute, back up. Are all of those assets done and finished, or did you polish some of those just for that trailer? And
hmm
what that makes me say goes back to that article from Polygon that says maybe you guys don't know what you're doing when it comes to studios because you have effed up so many other games and titles and franchises. You're out here. And here's the thing: would you believe if someone said the trailer that we saw from Nintendo was fake? No, you would believe
hmm
that because they have a track record of actually having studios that produce games. If
Yeah.
Sony was accused of faking a trailer, you'd be like, Killzone, okay, let me see. Mm, you know, but Sony, you would give them the benefit of the doubt. But Microsoft, after all of the stepping on rakes that they have done, nobody from Microsoft has the credibility that they should have after all of this time. And Kay and Ken bring up a very good point. That's what WB Discovery is going to do.
hmm
There is concern that some of these games were canceled and were far enough along in their development that maybe some of this is tax write-offs. Kind
Um,
of kind of like what WB did with some of these movies that they did, that they were far enough along, instead of releasing them, cancel them, write them off on taxes.
hmm Yeah. Um, because it's almost like whoever the bean comes are, they're like, am I going to get more money as a tax write off or selling the getting profits from the game, which sucks.
Kim from Chicago, not just Batgirl. What was it? Acme versus. Um,
Some Wile E. Coyote movie,
yep.
maybe Wile
Hmm.
E. Coyote versus Acme. I was excited to see that, and I just saw the Daffy Duck Porky Pig movie that's on there when the world blew up. That was a pretty fun movie.
Yeah,
So after seeing that, I definitely do want to see the Wile E. Coyote versus Acme movie even more.
I'll probably watch that with the kids sometime this week.
Yeah,
Um,
it's fun.
yeah, so I so let's so now that
You know what
we've
this reminds me of,
go ahead.
and this could be another topic, is Disney.
What?
Disney just owning everything, like
We have
all the properties.
we have said, me and you have said this, and we have um sorry, I just got a text from Chris that I oh my gosh, Chris is in timeout. Friend of the show, Chris Brathwaite.
Do
I
you see?
should not
You
have.
see? He did a package.
He did, and I did. You
He
see
like
what?
fronted a package and stuff and
Yeah, did you
everything.
see what I said? He was like, because he
No,
posted, he's like, I'm officially on TV, and I was like, Negro, you have been on TV for decades.
Mm,
I was like, let's not talk about how you have literally voiced VOs because you wouldn't shut up when you would shoot video, and we could
yeah,
have to kill the audio of VOs that you shot.
yeah,
And that's when he
true.
responded with, "Why you got to bring up old shit?"
Okay.
So here's my problem with all of these studios that you have and all of this money that you have thrown at a problem that you clearly cannot solve. Is Microsoft turning into a developer software only company that is going to be the Netflix of gaming? They have 35 million subscribers on Game Pass. They've raised the price on all of their hardware, where everybody else, Sony was dropping the price on hardware. Is the future of Microsoft no longer in the hardware business?
That's a good question because if the Nintendo Switch 2 was $500, you'd have to imagine the new Xbox and the new Sony systems are going to
Seven
be 700, 800, like just the base models, not even the premium models. So,
$700.
yeah, I don't know, man. That's crazy.
So
Um,
here's my question to you. We talked about Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty.
mhm.
I had watched IGN talk about. Um, I really felt bad for Ryan McCaffrey because that's a guy who loves Xbox. That's a guy who
Mhm.
loves.
He does, yeah.
He is the senior producer or editor at IGN. He's pretty much their Xbox guy. He talked about in his last podcast how his proudest moment was 2015 when he was able to get Phil Spencer and two other of the founders of Xbox
Mhm.
on Xbox Unlocked. He was like, "That is my proudest moment to have to basically have them talk for 2 hours and do an interview with them." You can tell he was pained with criticizing Phil Spencer. So my
Mhm.
question to you is: does the Activision Blizzard, if it effectively kills Microsoft in the hardware business, and this is the beginning of the end for Microsoft turning into just a or Xbox turning into a software company where they just make games, does this effectively ruin is not the word I'm looking for. How does this affect Phil Spencer's legacy?
Well, it's interesting because there's a report going out that he may retire within a year, and Sarah Bond would take over in his position. At least
That
that
is a
that
rumor.
had that had been going around for a while. You wonder if things have changed with this negative publicity. Who knows? Um, I I don't know. It's tough because
So
I like the idea that
hold
Phil
on,
is for.
I'm gonna let you think about your thought. So what Michael's talking about, there's a rumor that Phil Spencer was going to retire, and now the reporting is Phil Spencer will stay on until the next Xbox launch, and then Sarah Bond will take over. Phil Spencer has been noticeably, he's not even crying, he's just hollering because he's mad, right? Okay. He does that. That's Owen, I can tell. Wait, that is Owen, right? Yeah, I thought so. Um, Sarah Bond, if you've noticed, and has been more of the public face of Xbox, while Phil Spencer has taken a step back. Um, so that's what Mike we're referencing this rumor that Phil Spencer was going to step back, and then we were going to see this leadership change. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, like Michael said. So go ahead and finish your thought. I want it because some people don't know what the rumor was.
I think that was kind of it. I don't know what else
No,
I was
you,
saying.
no, you. I didn't want to interrupt, but a lot of people didn't know what the rumor was.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was it.
No, I'm
You got
saying
it.
like,
Yeah, I know what I'm saying is. I think you got across what I was saying because I don't know what I was saying anymore.
well, do you believe that if do you
Oh,
believe the
legacy.
Activision bit, what does
Um,
that do for his legacy?
I don't know because I don't think he would go down in history as the worst head of Xbox. I think people still think of Don Matrick as the worst person in Xbox
Yeah, but ain't nobody
because,
talking about Don Matrick right now.
well, yeah, nobody's talking about it because Phil Spencer's right here. But I think in a few years, when if Phil Spencer's gone and Sarah's back, then you could compare him. I think he's the most recent one to talk about because I think with Don Matrick, not only was he a bottom line guy, he wasn't good at getting to the bottom line. He seemed to say things that would piss off gamers and not really be about the gamers. At least in Phil's defense, he does seem to still be for the gamers. It just might be out of his hands what can and cannot happen for the gamers.
Mhm.
So I'm still going to champion Phil's like, okay, this guy wants to have Xbox everywhere. I love Game Pass. When we talk about the things that got us through the week, right now I'm playing Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, whatever the words are in that order.
Mhm.
The game is fantastic. I'm playing it on Game Pass. I enjoy Game Pass a lot. So I mean, I am a convert of that, but at the same time, I can understand something's got to change because. And here's the thing: I'm jumping all over the place. This history of Xbox not being able to handle studios happened before Phil got in charge.
True,
Because that article talks about Lionhead issues. That Phil was in charge when that happened.
true,
I
but
think I think it might have been Don Matrix. I mean, there is something. So even if Phil's gone and Sarah comes in, or they put in somebody new, I don't know all the big wigs enough to be like, who's the person that can right this ship and make things right again? I don't know.
here's the thing, and two things that you just said that I think is very important. Don Matrick was the CEO of Xbox when some of these things happened. But if nothing has changed since if some of the same problems still exist that when Phil Spencer is there and Don Matrick is not there, obviously it is an Xbox problem,
Yeah,
and it is an Xbox problem when you talked about Expedition 33, a studio outside of Xbox, outside of Sony. It's an independent studio who made a triple A game that is outperforming other AAA games that had more staff, had a bigger staff, had a bigger budget, a bigger campaign. It is a very good game. Kim from Chicago brings up it's French. Does the word order really matter? I'm not going to get into that. I have a hard time with English, as my wife will tell you constantly. What I'm saying is, if that studio can make AAA games without all of the trappings of Microsoft and Xbox. What is the problem at Microsoft and Xbox? If fundamentally you have screwed the pooch on all of your marquee franchises, when was the last time we had a Gears of War game? Fable, when is that coming out? Halo is unrecognizable. Meanwhile,
what do you define unrecognizable?
do you play Halo right now?
I mean, I didn't play Halo a lot when it was huge.
What true, but you played it
Yeah.
because it interests you. Does
Hmm.
Halo interest you now?
Well, there's nothing out to play on it.
That's my point. That is your mark. That if I say Xbox, Halo is the first thing you think of. If I say Nintendo, what's the first thing you think of?
Probably Mario.
I don't know what it is for Sony. To be honest with you, for some people, I'd probably say it's either between God of War, Last of Us, or um, what? Stop talking. You're not helping. Um, I don't know what it is for Sony, but what I'm saying is for Halo, it is Xbox. And
Hmm.
there's nothing on the horizon. There's Halo Infinite, whatever that was. was not great when it released. Matter of fact, it was supposed to be a launch title for this generation of Xbox, and it had to be delayed because it wasn't ready. So what I'm saying is that is a Xbox problem when it comes to game development and handling game studios. Because yeah, that was a Don Matrick problem. Don Matrick ain't here. To quote
Hmm.
Rick Pitino, Larry Bird ain't walking through that door. So what is the problem now for Microsoft in developing games? Because you don't have an excuse now of we don't have the money, we don't have the first party titles. After a while, it's just you are literally the worst when it comes to game development.
Yeah. Um, and I'm not going to do a console wars thing, but I do want to kind of compare with Sony. Sony has a few issues too, right? But I feel
Oh,
like the biggest issue is
yes.
they didn't spend $69 billion for an acquisition because we
No.
know Spider-Man 2 was a fantastic game, but it's apparently still didn't make enough money,
Mm,
and they had to let people go in at Insomniac, even though Spider-Man 2 is fantastic.
yep.
Concord, the game that lasted what 2 days before they were like, yeah, we ain't doing this anymore.
Not only that, Naughty Dog canceled the Last of Us MMO, um,
Yeah, the multiplayer
and
thing. Yeah,
they laid off some people.
yeah,
So it's not as if Sony is in the clear. And the problem that I have for Sony is that Sony is arrogant because they are in the
they
lead.
number one.
They like
Yeah,
Sony is, and see, this is the problem that I have, and the reason why I hate Microsoft doing this to Xbox is because if Sony is left unchecked, we lose out
you think
exclusivity.
they ballsy now?
You think Sony is out of control now? Let Microsoft and Xbox say we're not going to be in the hardware business anymore.
Yeah,
You think $80 games is just coming from Nintendo?
yeah,
The next Naughty Dog game is $100. Guarantee. Wolverine is $100.
yeah.
Whatever this Captain America, Black Panther game, $100. You think Sony's smelling themselves right now? Let them defeat Xbox. And
Sure.
that's my biggest problem right now with Xbox is that you are getting in your own way. And I do not know what the answer is, but I do know we can no longer blame it on previous CEOs. We can't blame it on Microsoft because Microsoft is saying, we've given you every opportunity and resource available. Now, Microsoft may be meddling. Now, that may be something that we can discuss or that's something that somebody can report on. But you can't say Xbox was never given money because let's be honest, Microsoft is $1 trillion company. If they wanted to buy Sony, they could. If they wanted to buy Nintendo, they could. Just financially saying, we know that they could not buy Nintendo, but monetarily, they could. So, what is the problem? And that's what infuriates me. And these people who champion this Activision Blizzard, and I almost said a name, and I'm sorry. Thank you for looking at me sternly, Michael, because I almost said a couple people's name. This is what infuriates me: the gall of some of these people who bootlegged a multinational corporation. Like, let's just let it happen, and it's going to happen, and this is great for gaming. It's like now, none of those people and those executives are losing their jobs. It's the
Sure.
developers. It's the developers. It's the labor who is going to lose their jobs, and it's not just lose their job. They're losing their job in an economy that is unstable, where inflation is creeping back up. That's what pisses me off.
And to add insult to injury, they're losing all the development and progress they made on those games that they spent 4 or 5, 6 years on that have been canceled. I mean, you can't really show off, and I don't know how that works, but I don't really know how much of that work you can show off that's now been canceled to other people. But like, hey, I worked on this. It's like, well, I can't hire
Did
you
it
because I don't
ship?
know what you've been doing. Yeah,
Did it ship? Do you have any stills that you can show me? Because if you published a game, you could go and say, if you go to this part of the game, I developed these assets. I work with this team. We did this. Well, on Blackbird, that has been worked on for the last 7 years, and you just got laid off. You are literally fucked because you can't tell anybody anything because
Right.
I'm quite sure all of that stuff is behind an NDA. All of that stuff is behind proprietary. We own it, so you can't show that off
Hmm.
legally. And that's to me that bothers me the most about this Activision Blizzard deal, and why I could not articulate every little thing that was going to happen. But I sat up here on this channel and on socials and was like, this is not a good thing for gaming. This is not a good thing for gaming because you cannot have one massive company who is not a game developer own all the gaming companies.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, cool.
Yeah, I to wrap this up, I am an Xbox fan. I'm a bigger Sony fan. If I had to rank the companies, Sony is here, Microsoft, then Nintendo. I still want to play Starfield. I love the game of Gears of War franchise. I remember playing Mass Effect on the original Xbox, or not the original Xbox, 360. Um, I want to see Xbox flourish because do think they can make some great games and have some great franchises, but also it keeps Sony in check. It keeps Nintendo on its toes. And I think even though it is a commercial enterprise, the storytelling is important.
Hmm.
South of Midnight is not made by anybody else. That is a game that has somebody that looks like you and I that is out there. And if Microsoft goes under or does not do it, or if Xbox goes under, where do we get that type of game? Tunic. It got a massive audience because it was on Game Pass. I would like to see Xbox make more of these games and help make more of these games. But if they can't get out of their own way, what's the future hold for gaming? Because with
Sure.
Xbox goes down, they're not just going to go down by themselves. I'm
I was
trying
just
to.
going through looking at stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Um, yeah,
Cool.
I like. Eventually, I will still like. I don't know if I would buy the next Xbox. I'd have to see where we are financially. I mean, you saw two of my biggest financial burdens just came over here and said, "Told you I'll buy it." It's still awake at 10:30 at night.
Hmm.
Um, but I want to be able to experience these games with them. I want them to be able to experience gaming. There are games. My wife, to this day, still beats me at Mario Kart. No matter the console that we play, I'm just bad at Mario Kart, and she's just that bad. She's just that good at it. But I want my children to experience that, and I want other people to experience those games. But if Xbox can't get out of their own way,
Word.
yep. So, final thoughts, Michael.
I think it sucks. There needs to be some type of changes. I don't know if it comes from the top, from the bottom, or something. Does that mean a shakeup between Sarah Bond, Matt Booty, and Phil Spencer? I don't know, but not good. Um, I hope that all the games we saw at the most recent Xbox Game Showcase do come out. They said that hell, those games are safe, but words don't mean anything because they don't. I mean, maybe those people believe they're safe, but if Microsoft is like, nah, they
Turn
ain't
10
safe.
thought they were safe.
Yeah, we can get better as a tax write off. Then they're not safe. Who knows? Uh, so we'll see where we go from here. Um, I just wish we could get out of the darkness of all the expanding that we did during the pandemic to make all these games, and now that we're kind of back to normal, when do we get to whatever that cycle is going to be of not having these massive layoffs every couple months? I don't know when that happens or if it ever happens again. I don't know.
Hmm. Um, yeah, I'm choosing to be, as much as this bothered me, I'm choosing to be positive only because I have to. Um, I am right now. I'm playing Destiny, and I forgot how much I love that game, and I enjoy Warframe, but Warframe got so advanced for me, and I stopped playing it that I like. It's so beyond me right now. And Destiny has been in a way, some of that, but it's the muscle memory. I enjoy Destiny, and that's one of the things that I loved about Game Pass, and that Game Pass to me pushed Sony to put Destiny on their PlayStation Plus,
Hmm.
um, because I remember playing Destiny on Game Pass on the Xbox because they had it on Game Pass, and I was able to catch up with some of the DLC. So I'm choosing to be positive about this because I'm hoping this is dark right now, but it's going to get better.
Cool. What got you through the week?
Uh, Books, comics, Ironheart. So when Michael finally puts it up, we can talk about. I really want to hear you guys because I loved Ironheart. Um, the comic, I enjoyed the show. I have some quibbles with it, but I loved Ironheart. My wife would probably wonder why I spent so much money getting those graded, encapsulated, because I love the character of Riri Williams. So I enjoyed Ironheart. Finished it the day after it came out. I am now on Jack Ryan. I'm on season 2. I want to apologize to Jim from The Office. I was not familiar with your work. Um, I'm a believer. Really enjoying that show. Uh, and I'm trying to organize my book collection. Uh, oh, Murderbot is out. I need to check that out. That might be something me and my wife watch. I may force her to watch that because I think that's an interesting show.
You forcing
Uh,
women to do stuff you ain't learned that from Diddy?
Sir Diddy was acquitted, so
Not on
take
all
that,
charges.
take that. The major ones he got off, so they was pouring baby oil on people
I mean, he
outside.
got off all right. Yeah,
They were pouring baby oil outside of the courthouse when those charges, the verdict
that's
wasn't
rough,
out.
man.
So
That's
hey,
rough.
that's the world we live in. We are on the worst timeline.
Yeah.
The rest in peace, rest in peace, Christian Troy from Nip Tuck. I know a lot of people know him from Fantastic Four, but he will always be Christian Troy to me. Um, and then Michael Madsen passed away. Rest in peace. I'm sorry, loved him. So yeah, uh, teaser for Neuromancer was dropped today. Kim from Chicago, is that Neuromancer the cyberpunk or Neuromancer something separate? Mm, drop that in the comments. What got you through the week?
Probably playing Claire Obscure Expedition 33. As soon as we stop recording, I'm gonna get back to playing that.
Okay.
Um, Wendy watched Sinners today. She really liked it. I don't know. Well,
So
I won't say she really liked it. She said she enjoyed it. She does. She said she don't think she doesn't think she would watch it again, but she enjoyed it when she saw it.
she wouldn't watch it again. Like I cannot wait to watch it. And right now, so that's a whole story for another day. But I Sinners is so far my favorite movie of the year.
Okay.
Sinners is my favorite movie of the year, followed by. Now, granted, there's a few movies I have not seen yet. I would say followed by maybe F1. F1.
Yeah.
F1 is in my top five.
Okay. Kay, I really enjoyed the Foods That Built America, that series. I'm watching that on Hulu a lot. I like that series.
Mhm.
We also watched Wendy and I also watched Heads of State today.
I wanted
That
to
was
watch.
surprisingly fun because I had
Was
low
it?
expectations. Yeah, I was like, this is fun.
Which one is better, Heads of State or G20?
Heads of State.
Okay.
Yeah, Heads of State.
Now you know
Um,
Old Guard 2 just dropped.
yeah, because it came out. I think it came out the same day as Heads of State. Maybe we'll watch Old Guard tomorrow. But yeah, that was good.
Okay. So yeah, we've been going for about an hour. So guys, so I will be here. Are you coming back Saturday? Sunday? Oh yeah, we can do it. Yeah. So Katie's going to go see Beyonce. So I will have the boys. So I will be able to do this next week. Or no, this what's today? Saturday? So we'll be able to do this. And I don't know if it'll be taped. or live.
Oh,
Maybe.
it'll probably be taped Saturday because I got to work Saturday.
Oh, then let's tape it. Yeah, we'll tape it.
I'm off
I have a
Friday.
topic.
Oh, what are you doing Friday? Are you
Kids and
working?
nothing. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
right now it's a slow period. So am I working? Yeah, I'll be there, but like really,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
it's one of those type of situations. Like we worked so much that it's like I'll say this, and if anybody from work is watching, I'll deny it. I kept coming to work, and they kept looking at me like, "You're here today," and I'm
Hmm.
like, "Am I not supposed to be? I didn't put in for vacation." Every
And I've
time I
never, I've
walk,
never had that day at work.
every time I walked in, and my boss was my supervisor was like, "Yo, you here today?" I'm like, "Why are you shocked that I'm here?" Like I come to work every day. I may not be on time every day, but I'm here every day. Like
Hmm.
I literally was in a class to get lift certified, and the next day they were like, "Hey man, you want to learn how to run the forklift?" I was like, "Shit, what time is that?" This is the class. Like literally every day. So yeah, we can take it for Friday, and I'm actually going to put this in the topic. So start thinking, or in the not put the topic in online. What would you rather have? Here's the two topics. Well, I'll let people decide which we do, but I'm gonna give you so you can start thinking about both of them. Plot threads from the MCU that need to be finished, picked up,
Hmm.
or just let them die. That's one topic. MCU plot threads. Or which would you rather have? Sequel after decades to a movie that you like, or reboot?
Okay. Cool.
Those are the so we just got this past week a Running Man trailer, and we talked about in our last press play that was recorded. We're getting a Gauntlet remake from Joseph Kosinski and Tom Cruise. Um, is it Gauntlet? The Clint Eastwood movie. Either way. So like, what would you rather have? Because and then also this was it this week or last week? Spaceballs. A sequel to Spaceballs was announced. So would you
Hmm.
rather have like a sequel to one of your favorite movies decades later, or just reboot the whole franchise?
Cool. With that,
So that
folks.
that's the question I'm gonna put on our Facebook page. Not Facebook. What's the community page? So you guys let us know.
Cool. Folks, we'll be back sometime. Tape, live, figure it out. Uh, yeah.
Yeah,
Till
that's
next
on
time.
y'all.
Yeah. We out.
Peace.
Peace.